my coming at first light on the 5th day. At dawn, look to the east.
Yes.
Good morning, good time zone and warm greetings to wherever you are in the world. This is Amelie, aka Spaced Out Puffin, and the ship is sinking, and I am ready to be pulled out of the water. The Battle of Arc 2 is over, and the battle for everything else is about to begin. Now, I'm going to be upfront with you. This is going to be a no-frills recording because it is currently 5 a.m. I start work in 3 hours, and I'm about to go traveling. Yeah, I'm going on a 2-week trip, so I won't be back here in my Temple of Corkboards before the beginning of December 5th to be exact. Yeah, I'm literally going to work and then straight to the airport. I've spent all night, or rather I spent last night, and then I woke up at 3 a.m. to continue packing, and I'm done packing now. No, really. Look! I just finished packing that one. And now that I've finally finished everything that needs to be done, I felt so bad thinking that I haven't been able to read this week at all. So I ended up deciding that, you know what, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna do a little bit of a discussion, and then I'm gonna read one chapter so that I'll have something to edit while I'm traveling and something to post for you guys later on this week. Next week, probably. We're just gonna have to see. So that way, the hiatus won't feel as long, I'm hoping. So sadly, it's just gonna be one chapter, but oh my lord, I am so excited. Because we are about to start Arc 3. Thank God! By which I mean Julian. Because Arc 2... I am feeling pretty fatigued from Arc 2. I am so done with it. It's a frustrating and unforgiving arc for the reader, and it's sort of a masterclass in balancing hope and dread. And even the climax, while extremely satisfying for being, you know, this very anticipated scene for me, is not a very happy one, even though it does bring us some hope, knowing what the future is like. And I think that's why Arc 2 works, because we're already in the future. Exploring the past through the lens of the present timeline makes this a bearable read. I do not think it would have had the same impact had this part been told before Arc 1. But because Arc 2 is so frustrating and then it ends like that, with everything having really just, you know, gone to shit, this ship really do be sinking and the deck is on fire. What I'm saying is the timing of Arc 3 couldn't have been better. But as done as I am, there are things that needs to be talked about and things to have an opinion about. And I do have some thoughts that I'd like to voice and discuss before we're moving on to the glorious present. Glorious? Because yes, I know we'll no longer have Hunger there, but we'll have him. Sandman! I'm excited. I'm excited to see Huatong again, and especially now knowing a little bit more about his origins. We didn't actually get to see a lot of things that I expected to see, but maybe they will be explained to us later. Maybe we'll get to actually see them in the 4th arc, which I know will be another flashback. We'll just have to wait, won't we? More about that in a bit. But here's the first thing I want to point out. I have discussed how well this arc builds frustration in its reader by constructing this wicked problem and turning the fairy tale kingdom of Shanda into a very real nation with very real feeling problems. But one thing I want to mention that I ended up noticing is how Julian contacts or tries to contact the heavens. More specifically, John Woo, the Emperor John Woo. And being shut out of heaven, because apparently that's what's going on. Like, he can't apparently go back up, even though he's not banished, he's just excluded, expelled. I don't really understand the mechanisms behind this, other than that it seems like John Woo has the power to exclude gods from coming back up to heaven, even though usually we see them coming and going, you know? Anyway, the point is, Sholian tries to contact John Woo, and the best way to do so apparently is through donations to the Temple of Divine Might, hoping that Sky Daddy will hear. This is also a parallel to how Sholian's followers, especially the ones in Yong'an, were barred from really sending prayers because they could not contribute these donations. As in the poor ones were not able to contribute, even though they were the ones who were the worst and first affected. And this mechanism is fine, it was already introduced to us in Arc 1, so we are kind of familiar with the concept of it. But the reason why I find this frustrating is because of how ironic it is then that John Woo wanted Sholian to stay in touch during his banishment, implying that John Woo would and could listen for him. So when that part first popped up while we were watching the Donghua, and even as we were reading, like it was a little bit annoying because it's a bit but now it's downright infuriating. And I absolutely understand Sholian for wanting nothing to do with heaven after all this. Another frustrating thing that we've also come to expect is, of course, the Shanda trio and the cracks appearing in its gilded surface. The last read featured Mooching and Fengshen both blowing up. At least they were taking turns. And it all starts with Bai Wuxiang telling Sholian how to cast the human face disease curse. And Mooching suggesting that, yeah, we should do it. And Mooching wanting to cast the curse is of course very frustrating, but it is in line with his character and does not conflict with anything we know about him. Because Mooching is, in some instances, kind and caring. And we see him contributing with quite altruistic actions to, these street children that he ends up giving fruit to. And even the fact that he is so filial and wants to bring things to his mother, it shows that he cares. But ultimately, he is not Sholian. The cup riddle comes back in full force. Mooching would want to analyze the situation and choose which person to give the cup of water, to choose the best outcome of the situation. So then, he does kind of blow up on Sholian, tries to lay out the facts for him, and he's desperate, which I understand. Mooching, after all, as far as we know, has something to protect. His mother, for one, that we don't actually know, what she's doing and how she's doing, but I'm assuming she's still alive, and that he is deadly afraid of her catching the human face disease and dying terribly. So when he sees the solution, even though it means the murder of a lot of people and the damnation of the souls of Shanda people who are already dead, he feels excited that there is a way out of this very complicated and very messy situation that can save the people he cares about. While Sholian, on the other hand, sees the forest and its trees, in the sense that he doesn't want to cut out a huge part of the forest in order to stop this forest fire. He wants to find another way to put it out. And again, it's something to admire. Like Sholian says himself, I'm not actually being considerate here, but I do not want to damn the souls of my people into that eternal unrest of apparently wanting to eat the flesh of its enemies. Anyway, so that's all fine and good. I understand Mooching wanting to lay this out and blowing up even, but then he actually goes after Sholian personally, and that's when Fengshen gets going. And oh my god, does he get going. Understandably so. But at the same time, while reading through what Function is saying, I think he has a key misunderstanding about Muqing, which is that Function thinks he's apathetic. Well, we know that he is anything but. Again, mother, kids on the street, etc., etc. In fact, he feels a lot. He feels so much. And he's not very good about it. But one thing Muqing does have that I don't think Function has for himself, and is also one of the reasons he's making all these assumptions and going at him like this, is ambition. Function and Muqing both are implied to have tremendous potential. They are, after all, the jades among the rocks, eh? And to me, that's always implied that if they were to work under Shirley as junior officials, deputies for a while, they would eventually be able to ascend themselves. And we know that's eventually what happens. They do ascend themselves as gods. After Shirley's banishment, which again was rare, you know, for people from the same generation to ascend. And, you know, I think having a foot in heaven already is part of it. And also facing this major catastrophe. Like, they are on the springboard to ascension already. And Muqing wants that. Function, I don't think he does. He does not have that ambition for himself, even though he is destined for it. Again, the cup riddle. Don't ask me, just tell me what to do. So I find the concept of their ascensions really interesting, considering how differently they are disposed for it. And there are so many more things I could probably discuss about the Chandler trio, and I could go into more detail about this whole blow-up situation, but again, time's ticking. I'm trying to get to the reading so that I can actually manage to read at least a chapter before I have to go to work. So I'm going to continue this discussion with, so did Function and Muqing get Hong Konger kicked out of the army? Because we did not get the answer to that question. We do not know why that happened yet. And that is so frustrating to me. I did get a comment that this likely has something to do with the flower Yao that took the shape of Shirley Ann. And I can only assume that what that means is Function and Muqing saw that Yao, saw that it had taken the form of Shirley Ann, knew that Shirley Ann and this soldier were the only people there, and of course understands that the flower Yao wouldn't have taken the form of Shirley Ann to entice Shirley Ann himself, unless they think he's a dumb narcissist, which honestly, fair assumption. 8,000 temples in all. But what I'm guessing this comment is trying to say is that they made the assumption that this soldier, not that child, this soldier version is a little bit bigger, but that this unknown soldier was perhaps harboring such feelings for their prince. Oof. But again, I don't know, because sure, maybe that contributes to whatever decision they made. I don't even know if they made it together. I know that Muqing was on the case. So sure, that might have contributed. But again, that wasn't a problem to them before Shirley Ann mentioned this kid, soldier, and maybe about appointing him, you know, like I discussed in my previous video. So we still don't know what happened there, but oh my god, I am dying to find out. Another thing I'm wondering about is, you know, you see this little line here between Hua Chang and Function and Muqing. It says, big beef. Bigger beef. It's a lot of beef. But I am starting to wonder if his resentment towards them is equal. Because it's been posed like that to us in Arc 1. But so far, Function's been around. Like he's even been complimenting this kid quite a lot. And as far as we can tell, if anyone were the one to directly make sure that he was let go of, it was probably Muqing who was sent by Shirley Ann to be on that case, right? So I do wonder if Hua Chang's resentment towards Muqing might not be a little bit bigger than Function. But then again, they still have not left Shirley Ann. I do not know. still why they left or how they left. And I think that is one of the major keys to understanding this whole situation. Honghonger is among us. He walks unseen, leaving little flowers in his wake, and oh my lord. Every time it's hinted that he is in the story, and every time there's a little flower being left somewhere, I have that little moment of hope. And it is not enough. And to summarize all my thoughts about that, I think that is one of the major motivations that drives him to eventually become, a ghost king. The fact that whatever he did, as this little kid, it just to protect His Highness the Crown Prince, it wasn't enough. It could never be enough. So now he's gonna make damn sure that he can. And the final scene was absolutely amazing. I'm fucking tearing up just thinking about it. Oh my god. Stop. We're not crying. It's 5 a.m. We're not crying this early on in the morning. Anyway, the final scene was absolutely amazing. And he isn't dead yet. In fact, there are so many fates unknown. Honghonger being the first one. How did he die? Because the fighting, was it over? Did he not die on the battlefield then? He obviously did not die to the human face disease. I am going crazy trying to think of how he could have possibly died, and I'm so sad about it. Just imagining him going all alone somewhere where no one would have known and no one would have cared, and I'm so fucking emotional about this. Why am I crying? I haven't even started reading anything yet. This is not even supposed to be a sad read. Okay, I need to pull myself together. Note to self, do not think too hard about Honghonger dying. Oof. So anyway, so many fates left unknown. Manian Ching, gone. We know that he dispersed the whole cultivation temple hall, made all the disciples leave the mountain. We don't know where he is. Dead. Again, my suspicion only grows. We don't know what happened to Shirley's parents yet. We only saw that one flashback in Dongwa and know that they died, and they are buried. They have their coffins in the royal mausoleum on top of that mountain. So Shirleyan must have buried them, right? He must have done their little funeral rites or something. But we still don't know when or where they went. Bai Wuxiang was waving on the battlefield. Yeah, all that we know is that Junwu deals with him. As in, Junwu defeated him, according to stories, but we haven't seen that on screen yet. Just saying. Which again feeds into all my theories about how Bai Wuxiang and Junwu are somehow connected. Either in that Junwu has taken control over him, is using him in some way, which is a theory I have been playing around with, or one of the theories I had that I'm a bit unsure of again is that Junwu might have created him. One hint we do know is that Junwu could possess the bodies of state preceptors who are devoted to his temple, I suppose. In other words, I have this really cracked theory now because of that one line, that one sentence that we now know. Junwu could have possessed Manian Ching and could have been impersonating him for parts of the story. And thus, my theory is Junwu is Manian Ching, who is Bai Wuxiang. I know it's pretty whack, but there could be something to it. I think that the whole possession thing might happen. Being able to, gods, apparently, the Emperor God can possess someone else's body, and I think that is a mechanism that's worth exploring in that case, and could be a part of this huge problem. Yeah, I'm noticing how I'm getting less and less trusty of Junwu, and it is a combination of his place as a character in the story, but also how I feel like people are reacting to him whenever we talk about him. There is no overwhelming love for John Woo. I have had not a single person come tell me he is their favorite character, only that they enjoy his character. Like, there's like not an overwhelming amount of Sky Daddy art in the art channels on my server either. What I'm saying is that the context of fandom also makes him highly suspicious to me, and I am starting to get more and more onto, well, if he isn't connected to by Wuxiang, as in he has created or somehow is by Wuxiang, he might be big bad all along, as in he's the bigger, badder bad at the end of all things. Like the questionable ethics, morally kind of, CEO of the Heavenly Company kind of bad, if you get what I'm saying. Different kind of villain from Bai Wuxiang. Like, I think that's a fun diversion as well, like having two villains, one that is distinct from the other one, but they are both absolutely terrible to deal with, you know? That could be really interesting for this story. But again, a lot of these are just thoughts I'm voicing so that you guys know what's going on in my head, and I think a lot of you enjoy listening to just what I'm thinking about when I'm reading. And to also remind you guys that while this is as blind as a reaction as I can make it, my interactions with you guys do color my perception of a lot of things. And I like to be honest about it, and I like to let you guys know kind of how that scrambled stuff up in my head. How my brain kind of works with all this information. But now, we need to make a couple of changes to the board, and the first thing is... my microphone is in the way. Oops. Now! Which also means that Prince Leon kind of has to go. We'll put him somewhere nice, so that we can always look at his visage. And I am sure that I will want to shuffle this board around, because we are back to playing with characters on this side of the board, but I don't know who's going to be in focus yet. So for now, I'm going to leave the board as it is, and once I'm back from my vacation, I will probably do a board shuffle, and having read like one more chapter, perhaps I'll be a little bit more aware of where this is going. Before we actually start Arc 3, I'd like to do a couple of predictions. And the first one I want to make is based on Hong Hong-er's final words to Shirley-Yen. The ones he said before the thing about never forgetting him. I'm so sad. Anyway, he promises Shirley-Yen that he's going to build him more temples than he's ever had. Bigger, better ones. Huatang. Where are those temples? It's been 800 years, and now you found your boo again. Like, tick-tock on the clock, let's start building some temples. Yeah, actually, I'm sure that there are temples dedicated to Shirley-Yen already out there, and I wonder if they have something to do with the fact that Shirley-Yen was able to ascend again for the third time, or even something to do with the fact that he's been kept alive, you know, outside of his immortality, but as a god in man's memory. So I am expecting to see the aforementioned temples in this upcoming arc, now that Hong Konger has mentioned them for us. So that's one thing. The only other thing I know is that, well, if we're going back to the present where we currently are, the last thing we saw in Arc 1 was Shirley-Yen's sword bearing down on Qirong, who is possessing the body of Guji's father. So I don't think Qirong is gonna die. The reason why I think that is because he was such a pivotal character in Arc 2 as well. I don't think it will be very satisfying if this is where he perishes, even though the story could surprise me. And also, the amount of attention he gets makes me think that he's not dying in book 3. Come on. If he's gonna die, it's gonna be like book 7 or 8. How can we say it, like, when I mean ghosts dying? You know, dying for real dying, because they have already died for real, actually, but, you know, the death after ghosthood so that they cease to exist. Poofed. Let me know if there's a word for that. What can we say for ghosts disappearing entirely off the face of this planet? Good lord, there are so many other things I could have talked about. I really, really want to dive into the fact that we've now actually gotten to see a physical manifestation of fate in this universe in the form of Long Ying getting this shield that protects him from being killed by a god. And there's so many things we could talk about regarding that, but again, I'm cutting all this short. We are moving ahead because we're nearing 6 a.m, a couple of hours till I need to be at work, and I need to read one chapter before that. I've gotten all my tallies again. The ellipsis tally is the only one we've added to in volume 3 so far. 11 ellipsis replies from Shirley-Ann and 7 from others. There's been no laughs or cries, even though I've been both laughing and crying, and of course, no guggers. However, I am hoping to see our Gugger machine sometime soon. Like, it's been 800 years. I am vitamin Gugger deficient now. So with all that done, I'm just gonna go for it. Again, I am so sorry that I haven't been able to do shoutouts for the last couple of videos. These last 2 weeks have been absolutely crazy, and I promise to make up for it once I get back home in December, so that you'll get your coffee board shoutouts, we'll get our little, I have a couple of skits that I want to do, and I can only pray that you'll forgive me, and I hope that you're still sticking around for the next video, and the next, and the next, because this is taking me a lot longer than I thought it would. So looking forward to December and for taking another holiday, to which hopefully I'll be able to read quite a lot. I am so excited about that. But for now, let's open Arc 3. No parts are bound, whatever that means. I know that it was what Shirley-Ann kind of replied to Ling Wen with in season 1. No parts are bound, which also is a really nice sentiment, because it does mean that you can always change course and direction. I wonder what exactly it means in the context of this, but this might mean that this arc is about that. It's about changing course and direction. And in the context of faith, I'm hoping that it does mean doing just that. That we're going to explore the theme of taking faith into your own hands and choosing your own path, which is, I think, a major theme around Hua Cheng's character, and I want to see if perhaps Shirley-Ann's character gets to explore that as well. Alright, here we go. Chapter 41. The Mid-Autumn Festival, Battling Lanterns on Moon-Watching Night. Okay, so we are going into a festival, Mid-Autumn Festival, which I know. I wonder if, there was an event in Sky, which is one of the games I play on the server, along with a lot of other people. And there was a lantern sort of event. So I wonder if this is the same festival, if this is the same sort of timing. Battling lanterns on moon watching night, okay? Battling lanterns. What does it mean for lanterns to be battling? No idea. On moon watching night. I don't have time to deliberate on this, let's just read on. Clang! Because the sword, sparks flew. Okay, we're not piercing Qirong at least. Okay. Clang. Sparks flew. The blade penetrated deep into the stone floor. Yeah, knew it. With both hands gripping the hilt, Shirley-Ann bowed his head and rested his forehead upon it. His teeth were gritted so hard they could have been ground to powder in his mouth. Useless trash! Qirong laughed out loud. What useless trash? I knew you wouldn't dare kill me, no matter how I humiliate you, no matter how I drag you through the mud, as long as I have a knife to someone else's throat, you can't do a thing to me. You useless coward. What's a god like you still alive for? However, Shirley-Ann had already completely calmed. He looked up, his eyes cold. Don't rejoice too soon. I can't do anything to you, but there's someone who can. Qirong humphed. Are you planning to hug John Woo's legs and beg him to help you again? Dream on. Did he care back then? And you still shamelessly follow on his heels. Are you really that stupid? Shirley-Ann peeled that magnificent, stately, god-pleasing costume off of Qirong. Then he called Roya forth and tossed Qirong aside once he was bound. Yeah, kind of expected something like this to happen. Now we're capturing Chi-Rong, taking him with us. You better shut your mouth. I'm not afraid of you. You've got nothing on me, Chi-Rong retorted. Well, are you afraid of Hua Chong? Shilian asked. That's so funny to me. That's so funny to me. Well, I can't do anything to you, and I'm not gonna. But have you met my boyfriend? I love this little diversion of Chi-Rong going like, oh, are you gonna go ask crying to daddy? Are you gonna ask Jean-Ru to come do things? No. There's a new daddy in town. Chi-Rong's smile froze as Shirley-Ann threatened quietly. Just to give you a heads up, if one of these days I fall into a bad mood, I might hand you over to Hua Chang and have him think of a way to deal with you. So watch yourself, you hear me? Shirley-Ann, you're so hot when you're threatening people. Chi-Rong couldn't laugh anymore. Not with that threat on the table. Terrified, he cried, What the fuck? You're vicious! I can't believe you'd come up with something like that. Why not just hand me over to Long Ten Chor? Shirley-Ann knelt on the floor. One by one, he picked up the small coarse granules from the ground and from under the coffin. Yeah, the ashes of his mom, right? Truthfully, for the time being, he wouldn't be delivering Chi-Rong to the upper court, and the reason for that was specifically Long Ten Chor. If Shilian surrounded Chi-Rong and Long Ten Chor learned of Chi-Rong's whereabouts, Long Ten Chor would immediately charge in with his sword to kill Chi-Rong. Should Chi-Rong be killed? That was a headache-inducing question. If it was killed, then what next? Another question that prompted headaches. For the moment, it would be unwise to hand Chi-Rong to the upper court. Yeah, and this is more about making stuff easier for himself, actually. A pretty selfish action, but also, good on you, Shilian, for doing this for yourself. All things considered, requesting Hua Chang's help certainly sounded like a good idea. But really, Shilian was only using Hua Chang's name to scare Chi-Rong a little. After all, he had already troubled Hua Chang too many times, oh my gosh. Don't worry, Shilian, he wants you to trouble him some more. And whenever something happened, he thought of Hua Chang first. He's already become such a trustworthy character to Shilian, the first person he thinks of. And again, this just speaks to, for one, Shilian's loneliness, that he's had no one that has been by his side that he can trust that much. But now, he has several new people around him. But Hua Chang is still the first person he thinks of, and that speaks to just the chemistry they've had over the last couple of books. It's absolutely amazing. Doing so yet again almost felt like he was being overly familiar. Even using Hua Chang's name to scare Chi-Rong made Shilian feel rather embarrassed. Chi-Rong turned his head and spat a mouthful of blood, and the child reached out pathetically to rub his forehead. Dad, are you okay? He asked. Does it hurt? Chi-Rong seemed to greatly enjoy playing this game of father and son, and he responded with sing-song derision. My good son, Daddy is just fine. He's just playing house with this child he picked up as a snack. This is so fucking funny. The rims around Shilian's eyes were red as he picked up each of those granules. And he placed them with the utmost care upon the God-pleasing costume. The child quietly crawled over to help Shilian gather them. Shilian saw those little hands and glanced up at him. The child said in a smile voice, Gaga, won't you stop beating up my dad? Let us go, we won't steal from you again. Shilian felt a twinge in his heart, but he forced the feeling away. What's your name, little one? My name is Gucci, the child said. Shilian finished collecting the ashes and wrapped them in the costume's layers, then tied it up neatly before placing the bundle within the coffin anew and closing the cover. He then slowly replied, Gucci, that's not your dad. It's someone else. Your dad has been possessed. He's currently a bad guy. Gucci was only confused by this explanation. He couldn't comprehend what he was being told. Someone else? No, I recognize him. He's my dad. Chirong commended his response. Not bad, not bad. I picked up a cheap son. What a great bargain. Oof. Sholian kicked him. Guji was still young and had for all his life been dependent on his father, so he was quite attached to the body Chirong now possessed, and refused to abandon it so easily. Sholian couldn't think of a way to manage the situation at the moment. With the sword Fengshin on his back, he solemnly kowtowed thrice toward the two coffins. Then, with Chirong dangling from his left hand and Guji tucked under his right arm, he left Mount Taizang and returned with all speed to Puchi village. We're going back to Puchi. He had been gone for many days, and it was deep into the night by the time they made it back. The doors to Puchi Shrine were wide open, and clouds of incense rolled out. Upon the altar, the incense burner was stuffed to the brim with fragrant sticks, and the table itself was piled with offerings. Oh my gosh, it's cute. It's cute. You're so popular, Sholian. Sholian swept a look across the altar as he entered, then grabbed 2 meat buns. He passed one to Guji and rudely stuffed the other into Chirong's mouth. That body was alive, after all, until Sholian figured out how to yank Chirong out of the man. He required sustenance. Chirong spat out the meat bun with a curse at its foul taste. With no small bit of worry in his tone, he yelled, "Hey, you won't actually hand me over to Hua Chang, will you?" Sholian sneered. "Are you very scared?" He didn't have time for this nonsense, and he turned around to rummage through his collection of pickle pots. "Me? Scared?" Chirong stubbornly scoffed. "You should be the one who's scared. You're a heavenly official, but you dare pal around with the Supreme? You—" While he rambled, his eyes suddenly locked on to something. When Sholian bent down, something had peeked out the front of his robes. It was that crystal-clear ring. That was what caught Chirong's eye. Chirong seemed to be suspicious, though Sholian didn't notice his stare. After a moment, Chirong asked, "Cousin Crown Prince, what's that thing hanging around your neck?" Oh my gosh, is Chirong gonna figure out that these are Hua Chang's ashes? Like, he would, probably. Like, he is a dumb shit, but he's kind of, like, he knows how to needle stuff out. Like, he knows where to prick his dirty little fingers. Oh my god. Sholian had planned on ignoring him, but Chirong had brought up something he himself was curious about. He turned around, his fingers hooked on the thin silver chain. "This? Do you know what it is?" "Bring it here, let me see and I'll tell you," Chirong beckoned. "If you know, then say it," Sholian replied. "If you don't, then shut up." "You're always so nasty to the people close to you," Chirong grumbled bitterly. "If you're so impressive, why don't you cop an attitude with strangers?" Sholian tucked the silver chain back into the inner layers of his robe, pressing it against his skin as he straightened it. "If you're so impressive, keep talking. I'll keep count of every word, and each one will take you a step closer to Hua Chang's blade." Without realizing it, Sholian had somehow grown used to leveraging Hua Chang's name. It's okay again, Sholian. He doesn't mind. He likes it. Chirong sneered. "Don't you use him to scare me? Maybe one of these days you'll be the one dead under someone else's blade. Don't you want to know what that thing is? I, who number among the 4 calamities, shall tell you that's a cursed ornament, an object of misfortune. Throw it out, and quickly. I can't believe you keep it on you. Are you that tired of living after hanging around here for so long?" Hearing this, Sholian straightened up immediately. "Is that true?" "Duh," Chirong said. "I'm telling you, man or ghost, whoever gave that to you must not mean well." "Oh," Sholian squatted down again. "What do you mean, oh?" Chirong cried. Sholian didn't bother turning to face him as he calmly responded. "Oh just means that it'd take a miracle for anyone to actually believe the things you say. I choose to believe in the person who gave this to me, and I've decided to keep wearing it." I love you, Sholian. Sholian had always been gentle and courteous to others, but he was exceptionally cold toward Chirong. Chirong was vexed to death, cussing non-stop, and Julian simply pretended to hear nothing. He realized that he couldn't find the pot that contained Banue, no matter how thoroughly he looked. But you asked the Windmaster to take care of her, and thought perhaps the Windmaster already came by to take her away. As he listened to Chirong, he suddenly felt something was off. Oh no. Okay. Strange. Chirong was obviously terrified of Hua Chang, so why was he still trying to provoke Julian as if Chirong was trying to distract him on purpose? Realizing this, Julian startled. He shot Chirong a glare, and sure enough, he saw the ghost avert his gaze for an instant, looking mighty suspicious. An inexplicable gut feeling made Julian look up. Not too far overhead, he spied a black-clothed man with his back pressed against the ceiling beams. Adhered there like a giant bat. Oh no, we have an intruder. Julian immediately unsheathed Feng Xin and hurled the sword up. Back pressed against the beam as it was, the man had to dodge the attack by whirling around and tumbling to the ground. Guji dropped his meat burn in fright and wailed. Before Chirong could scream too, Roya sealed his mouth, thank you Roya, and dragged him to a corner and then bound him anew. At first, Julian thought this was one of Chirong's lackeys, but after exchanging a few blows, he noticed this man was fast, aggressive, and oddly familiar. He could say with considerable certainty that at Chirong's level of competence, he lacked the power to command such a talented subject. Yeah, martial arts enthusiast here. Julian knows talent when he sees it / fights it, I guess. Then he spotted something hugged in the crook of the man's other arm. Upon a close look, it was a black pot, the very one that contained Banue. Windmaster hadn't taken Banue away? Julian instantly deduced who this was and blurted out, "Little Pei? Oh no! Are we for real? Pei Shaw entering back into the story? He's over here. Well, here they all are. Banue and Little Pei. Oh my gosh, Pei Shaw! Pei Shaw!" It seemed Little Pei had come to steal Banue, but he'd unexpectedly run into Julian as he returned and had no choice but to hide above on the wooden beam. Why are you stealing Banue? Why are you stealing Banue? I mean, we do know that he likely does care for her, but that's really been explored more in the Zhonghua than it has in the text. But why are you here? Little Pei, you're exiled. You're exiled. As in not banished, but exiled. Are you still trying to make up for shit by working with your general? Like I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. Because Chirong was bound by Roya and lying on the ground, he had immediately seen Pei Shaw. Chirong didn't know who he was, but if it was something harmful to Julian, he thought it might be beneficial to himself. Chirong was afraid Julian would sense someone was lurking and purposely kept trying to distract him with noise, yet somehow Julian still noticed in the end. Julian bore 2 cursed shackles and Pei Shaw was in exile. Neither had any spiritual power, so they could only fight barehanded. But Julian had fought through his 800 years with nothing but his fists, so how could Pei Shaw possibly compare? It didn't take many rounds for Julian to subdue him. "Give back the pot!" Julian only shouted that offhandedly, but much to his surprise, Pei Shaw really threw the pickle pot to him. Startled, Julian thought, is General Pei Jr. really this easy to convince that he'd return the pot simply when asked? Don't we usually have to push each other around a bit longer for this kind of thing? As Pei Shaw threw the pot, he urged Julian in a desperate, hushed voice, "Hurry and go!" Was he trying to protect her? As in he knows someone else is about to come for her? Oh, his tone sounded genuinely anxious. Julian stretched out his hands to catch the pot as it flew at him, but it suddenly changed course and flew out the window. In the next moment, they heard another man's voice coming from some distance away. "You've really disappointed me." Oh my gosh, it's gotta be Pei Ming, come on. The colors of Pei Shaw's face changed. "General!" Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh my lord, what is going on? I love this arc already. He and Julian rushed out of Puchi Shrine. Sure enough, on the roof of a house in the distance stood Pei Ming. He was dressed in casual attire rather than his usual armor, and he looked exceptionally dashing, standing tall and slender, with his confidence bright as the sun. The pot leisurely flew over to Pei Ming, then stopped, floating there. With a relaxed hand resting on the hilt of his sword, he spoke to Pei Shaw, who stood below. A man looks at the big picture and puts his career first. You're meant for great things, so what's going on with you? You'd screw yourself over for a little girl? Do you consider yourself such an immature brat? Pei Shaw hung his head low and didn't speak. You rose to your position in only 200 years, Pei Ming continued. Do you think it's that easy for everyone? I paved the road for you. It's easy to go down, but it ain't easy coming back up. They say it's lonely at the top, but whenever a god of heaven descended, they usually preferred to find high places to stand. The higher they were, the easier to regally survey all below. Shirley himself used to have that awful habit, but after he fell that one time, his leg ached terribly whenever he perched up high. Oh no. Call back to that broken leg, that was a scene. All this being said, the tallest building within Puxi village was the village head's home, and it was a simple tiled roof house. General Pei really was doing himself a disservice by choosing it as the place to strike a pose. Okay, so what you're saying is like, while Pei Ming is looking exceptionally dashing, he's standing on a really old little house. And it's, yeah. However, that was beside the point. The point was, with a simple glance, Shirley knew exactly what was going on. Previously, Pei Ming had intended to pin blame on Banyu to clear Pei Shaw's name, and Shirley had stopped him. When he stood before John Woo, Pei Ming appeared to have given up, but he obviously hadn't abandoned the idea. After that rotten business with the Gilded Banquet got out, Shirley could barely take care of himself, and his reputation had no doubt plummeted. General Pei probably thought it was an opportune moment to dredge up old affairs, hence why he was trying to drag both Pei Shaw and Banyu back to the upper court to appeal for a new trial. Truly relentless. However, Pei Shaw didn't seem overly enthusiastic about the prospect, and he only breathed a sigh. General, let's just forget about this whole affair. You... Pei Ming looked speechless and exasperated. He had to be quite frustrated to lecture Pei Shaw without caring about Shirley's presence. Moments later, he suddenly declared, Well, now I have to see what kind of amazing girl could make all my hard work go down the drain. He reached out, seeming like he planned to shatter the pot. This way of opening it wouldn't normally pose a problem, but the issue was that Shirley didn't know whether Banyu's wounds had healed. If they had not, then it would be bad if that pot was opened so violently. Shirley's face dropped and he lunged forward. Don't break it! Before Pei Ming's hand had even touched the thing, the pot unexpectedly exploded by itself with a bang. The air was choked with the smell of pickles, so strong it could drive any man mad. Pei Ming stood closest to the pot and was unfortunately completely plastered with pickles. And he was utterly flabbergasted by the sudden shower. Has it been replaced? Has the jar been replaced? Did Windmaster already pick it up? The clear, sonorous voice of a woman, let's fucking go, rang through the air. General Pei is such an honorable man. The white-robed individual whirled out of that small pot. At first, she was only the size of a fist, but the more she flipped, the larger she became. Shirley looked closer and cried, Lord Windmaster! The one and only, the one concealed within the pickle pod, wasn't Banyu, it was Shi Qingxuan. She had hidden in the pot and blown a barrage of pickles at Pei Ming, but she herself had not a single stain on her fluttering white robes. Of course not. Of course not. She landed steadily and swung her whisk. Thank goodness, thank goodness. Good thing I already sent that little miss to someone else, otherwise she wouldn't have escaped General Pei's far-reaching arm. Pei Ming prided himself on his charm and maintained good manners in all his endeavors, yet now he stank of pickles. In the face of Shi Qingxuan, in female form, he was feeling a little woeful even as he kept up that mannered bearing. Qingxuan, why must you antagonize me like this? If it were anyone else, Pei Ming probably would have beaten them to a pulp already, but considering Shi Qingxuan's older brother, Pei Ming could do nothing but pick off the pickles. He brushed back his hair and gritted his teeth as he shook his head. You better not let me find out where you sent that little girl, or I'll certainly pay a personal visit. The tone of his voice made his meaning clear. Daring to take in Banyue meant opposing him, and he planned to seek trouble. But Shi Qingxuan simply clapped. That's easy. It doesn't matter if I tell you where I sent her. I'd love to see you go visit. Listen well, the little miss is currently staying on Mount Yulong at the Rainmaster's mountain retreat. You dare go? Rainmaster! Oh my gosh! So yeah, Rainmaster was a character who appeared in Arc 2, and now they've finally entered the story again in Arc 3. And back comes the question, is it the same character from Arc 2, or is this a new Rainmaster? We'll just have to wait and see. But it seems that Rainmaster makes Pei Ming a bit nervous here, because the next sentence is, at her words, the colors of Pei Ming's face changed slightly, and he didn't appear as confident as he had before. So what is it about Rainmaster? There must be some history here. He schooled his expression and suddenly grew serious. Qingxuan, you're still young. That's why you like to fight over every little thing for the sake of justice. When you get older, you hopefully won't regret the things you're doing now. Then he leapt off the roof and disappeared. He actually left in quite a hurry. Oh my lord, I can't believe all this happened in the span of just a few pages. My god. Gods. Sholian felt a little bewildered. He sensed there was some sort of implication in Pei Ming's words, so he asked, Lord Windmaster, what did he mean? Shi Qingxuan brushed it off. Nothing but empty threats. Pei Shuo watched Pei Ming's silhouette disappear before coming over to greet the other two. Lord Windmaster, Your Highness. Shi Qingxuan patted his shoulders. Little Pei, very honest of you to come stop your general. Take care of yourself down here and turn over a new leaf. If there's a chance, I'll speak well of you in the upper court, don't you worry. Pei Shuo was speechless for a moment, but replied, Thank you, my lord. However, I can't help but think you've misunderstood. General Pei isn't usually like this. It's only because of what happened in the past that he's overly worried about me. Besides, you also know that Lord Rainmaster what? Pei Shuo, tell us. In the end, Pei Shuo seemed to feel he had said too much fuck, after all, so he shook his head and cupped his hands. Farewell. The two of them watched him leave, and Sholian spoke again. Lord Windmaster, the Lord Rainmaster you spoke of earlier, was it Rainmaster Huang? Okay, Rainmaster Huang. Rainmaster Huang. Shi Qingxuan turned back around. That's right, the Rainmaster hasn't changed in centuries. What, someone you know? An acquaintance? Oh my gosh, maybe? Sholian shook his head and said softly, Although I haven't had the honor of meeting the Rainmaster, I owe a debt, and I am profoundly grateful it is the same person, it is the same Rainmaster. Rainmaster Huang, okay. We have a name. Great, we have a name. Shi Qingxuan smiled. Indeed, even though there aren't many who are acquainted with the Rainmaster, those who are have never spoken a bad word. Well, except Pei Ming. Is there a quarrel between them? Sholian asked. Naturally. Anyone who's hung up in the upper court for so long has some sort of quarrel or collusion underfoot. Let me tell you, the Rainmaster traumatized Pei Ming deeply. Traumatized? Sholian wondered. He had always thought the Lord Rainmaster was just someone who worked the fields. You know Pei Ming, Shi Qingxuan said. He's got plenty of descendants. His however many sons are everywhere. Before little Pei, there used to be another deputy guard at the palace of Mingguang, and he was also a descendant who was first appointed as general, then ascended. Okay, Sholian was amazed. General Pei sure has many talented descendants. Not just anyone could turn the art of ascension into an inherited family business. Shi Qingxuan snapped her fan open and continued. He was indeed talented, but he was more or less the same as Pei Ming, powerful and packed with personal problems. That deputy official often stirred up trouble in other people's domains, but no one dared say much because Pei Ming stood behind him. until one day he messed around in the vicinity of the former kingdom of Yushi. Holed up deep in the mountains, the Lord Rainmaster rarely ventures out and spends the days planting fields, hence that nickname Old Farmer of the Deep Mountains, Rainmaster Huang. But who would have thought? The moment the Rainmaster emerged, that descendant of Pei Ming was beaten to a pulp. He was dragged back to the heavens, thrown in front of the Heavenly Emperor, and sentenced to exile. Why does this story sound so familiar? Shulian mused. At first, Pei Ming thought, exile, whatever, I'll just fish him back up in 100 years, Shi Qingxuan continued. But how much can happen in the mortal realm in a century? Every year, every day even, new and impressive talents flare to life in a flurry. You can barely keep count. It only took 10 years for that deputy official's devotees to turn to a new god, and after 50 years, he was completely forgotten. So after 100 years, he could no longer be recalled. That young heavenly official, with a once boundless future, was no more. His talents wasted. It wasn't until little Pei came around that Pei Ming found another right hand he liked. No wonder General Pei was doing everything in his power to restore little Pei's position. With that precedent, he was afraid little Pei would be ruined too. All the same, his methods couldn't be considered correct. Okay, this is so interesting. So, Pei Ming and Rainmaster have a history in that Rainmaster once made sure that Pei Ming's former deputies turned god, like this descendant had already reached godhood, was exiled. So there is a little bit of history there. Shulian mused upon it, then he sighed. The human world, Shi Qingxuan agreed. Yeah, you'll always wear down your spiritual power and will to fight if you dally too long in the mortal realm. Shulian nodded unconsciously, whereas Shi Qingxuan was intentionally nodding in an exaggerated manner. After nodding that way for a while, Shulian abruptly remembered an incredibly important individual. Oh, Long Ying, that child! Yeah, oh my lord. Too many things had happened all at once. The excitement had been too great, and he had forgotten all about that boy. Are you talking about the child you brought back from Paradise Manor? Shi Qingxuan piped up. The Heavenly Emperor has seen him, and he's currently at my place. Oh no, the Heavenly Emperor has seen him. I'll bring him down for you later. There's still Qirong and another child locked up inside Puchi Shrine. I can't let anyone see them, Shulian thought. So he replied, How can I trouble you with that? Why don't I go up instead? Shi Qingxuan nodded in delight. Same difference. Incidentally, it will be the Mid-Autumn Festival banquet soon. It's a once-in-a-year event. You shouldn't miss it. This year, my brother will be back for it too. I'll introduce you. Oh my god. Shi Wudu introduction? I am so excited, oh my lord. Shulian couldn't help but smile at her tone, which brimmed with pride over her elder brother. The Mid-Autumn Festival banquet, huh? Every year for the Mid-Autumn Festival, all of heaven held a banquet to celebrate. During the gathering, they gazed down on the mortal realm's festivities as entertainment, but besides that, a very important game occurred during the banquet, a sort of grand finale to the feast, the Battle of the Lanterns, which was the title. Okay, so now we're learning what that is. Not just anyone could offer a blessing lantern. During the Mid-Autumn Festival banquet, what the gods battled over was the number of blessing lanterns their devotees offered at their main temple. Everyone said, it's only a game, no need to take it seriously, we're just playing around, don't mind it, but in reality, how many of them genuinely didn't care? They all pitted themselves against one another, hoping that this year their devotees would fight hard for them. If there really was someone who didn't compete, it was John Woo. This was simply because the Palace of Divine Might always stood victorious, and its lanterns only increased year after year. Thus, John Woo was the only heavenly official who truly took this game as a game. As for the rest, they fought not for first place, but for second, although even then the competition was fierce. At the peak of the Palace of Chandler's prominence, it had also been incomparably impressive, standing far ahead of the pack alongside the Palace of Divine Might and leaving other heavenly officials in the dust. So Shulian used to win this thing? or, get second place a lot, which was basically first place because first place is the fucking emperor, now it would probably look quite sad. Shirley didn't even need to guess exactly how many blessing lanterns he would receive. Without a doubt, not a single one. Foreshadowing. I think this is where the temples come in. Come on. He's going to be surprised that he's going to get lanterns. And it's going to be from the temples that Hua Chang has put up around for him. Come on. That's got to be it. I'm so hung up on the temple theory. I'm going to be so sad if this doesn't happen now. But come on. This is foreshadowing if I ever saw some. Even though he was sure to make a poor showing, it would still be better if he went. He wasn't like the Rainmaster, who had been living as a recluse for centuries. He wasn't like the Earthmaster, who had secret assignments to attend to. And he definitely wasn't like the Watermaster, who could do whatever he wanted. If he was always a special case, even though he wasn't anyone of significance, if he refused to attend simply because he didn't feel like it, then after a while it would inspire resentment and there would be talk. Yeah, so this is Shirley doing what he's always done, even as the Crown Prince, as we experienced in Arc 2. He knows how to read these situations. He knows how some of these things work. So he tries to make the best possible choice for this social nicety stuff. The problem in Arc 1 mostly being that people were not willing to give him the chance to play. While Shirley thought nothing of gossip, it would only make things difficult for John Woo, and so he accepted Shi Qingquan's invitation then and there. Alright, I'll definitely be there when the time comes. In the days following, Shirley was unsuccessful in separating Qirong from the body he'd taken, even after trying all sorts of methods, and Qirong was growing quite pleased with himself. Thank goodness for Gucci, who didn't mind feeding his dad, as Shirley really didn't feel like cramming things into Qirong's mouth day in and day out. On the day of the Mid-Autumn Festival, Shirley drew an array outside Puchi Shrine, locked the door from the outside, left Roya behind to keep Qirong bound, and reported to the heavenly capital. Needed a little bit of a breakfast break, more coffee and a little bit of a smoothie, just keep going. 1 hour left until I need to be at work. Let's see if we can finish this chapter. This is so exciting. We're going to the heavenly capital again. Leaving Roya, though, I was thinking about that as I was making my smoothie. Leaving Roya with Qirong, is that going to have any implications? Anything that will happen because of that? Let's see. Because this is the first time we've seen Roya be left behind by Shirley like this. And we still don't know where Roya came from. Anyway, no time to think, let's read. They say in verse, white jade capital of the heavens, 12 towers, 5 cities. The immortal strokes my head, hair bound to receive longevity. And this is verse from the Tang Dynasty poet Li Bai's longest autobiographical poem. Okay. The white jade capital was of course referring to the heavenly capital. In preparation for the Mid-Autumn Festival, the heavenly capital was wholly refreshed. Other than that, Shirley saw a marked increase in armed guards in the streets, corridors, and terraces. They had probably been assigned after Hua Chang's intrusion. The outdoor banquet was arranged under the moon, which again is the title, and exquisite incense perfumed the propitious ambience. Auspicious clouds drifted in the skies, and blossoms flurried like snow. It was a splendid setting for entertainment and moon watching. When moon watching in the mortal realm, if one were to create a circle by touching one's thumb to their index finger, the moon would fit right in that frame. However, when moon watching in the heavens, the moon hung but a close distance away, looking as though it could be caught in only a few steps. It glistened white, like a giant jade screen. Truly an ethereal sight, impossible to behold in the mortal realm. Needless to say, John Woo sat at the head of the banquet. However, there was a hidden, intricate stratagem to the rest of the seating. I'm guessing like a sort of strategic seat mapping. A method underlying the order and position. Taking a seat too close to the front was naturally a no-no, but no heavenly official wanted to be seated too far away either. Julian didn't really care for such pedantic etiquette, but formal attire was another requirement at the mid-autumn banquet, meaning one had to dress to match the appearance of one's divine statue in the mortal realm. Julian had not a single divine statue, so he simply wore his white Taoist robe, with his bamboo hat hanging on his back. Okay, so Julian literally came dressed in his slacks to the party. Well, his everyday clothes, I suppose. He always wears these. While a little shabby, he looks good though. He really didn't have anything better. Dressing this way was rather conspicuous, so he felt it would be better to sit somewhere more hidden away. Just as he found a random corner, he looked up and saw Feng Xin walking his way. Both of them hesitated for a moment before giving each other a slight nod as a greeting. The last time we saw Feng Xin was when we went back to the heavens after parting ways with Huachang. Feng Xin walked on for a few steps, but then doubled back. "What are you doing sitting there?" Julian thought he had taken the wrong spot and stood. "I thought I could sit anywhere." Feng Xin was about to say something more when, far in the distance, Julian saw Shi Qingxuan waving at him from the front of the banquet. Shi Qingxuan was in her female form at the moment, and when Feng Xin turned around, it was like he had laid eyes on something that unearthed a past trauma. Aghast, he hurried away and left Julian to his own devices. Shi Qingxuan shouted, "Your Highness, over here!" The Windmaster was prominently popular in the upper court, and thus, naturally, her seat was one of the best, located close to John Woo. This wave and call made many heavenly officials look over. John Woo had been sitting in silence with his hand supporting his cheek, and now he also noticed Julian and inclined his head towards him. And so, Julian had no choice but to go over. In the middle of things, on the way he caught no glimpse of Long Chen-cho as expected. Apparently Long Chen-cho had long since declined his invitation to the mid-autumn banquet in favor of searching for Qi-rong's whereabouts. Shi Qingxuan found Julian a seat right next to her, a spot with excellent feng shui. Julian didn't think it appropriate, but the Windmaster was warmly inviting and also already pushing him to sit down. Pushing him down to sit, whatever, he's sitting. He sat. "I'll take you to the kid later, after the banquet is over," she said. "He's a little ugly, sure, but very obedient." Hearing this, Julian could only say his thanks. The one seated next to them was Ming Yi. "Hello, Elfmaster, finally. This is so exciting. I've been looking forward to the next time we got to see him. And I am looking for ideas, looking for clues." The one seated next to them was Ming Yi, who sullenly fiddled with a jade cup. The hand playing with that small vessel was surprisingly paler than the cup itself. The color of Ming Yi's face looked healthy enough, so it seemed the injuries he'd received during his imprisonment in Ghost City had healed. "Lord Earthmaster, I trust you've been well," Julian greeted him. Looking like he didn't want to talk, Ming Yi dipped his head. Shi Qingxuan, however, was the exact opposite. She knew everyone and could say a few words to anyone sitting to the front, back, left, right, and even those seated a million miles away. Julian was in awe of how she remembered every heavenly official's name, no matter their rank. Seated next to Julian was a young man of 18 or 19. His nose was tall, his brows deep, and his raven hair slightly curly. This is a new character then? Julian didn't know him, and the young man didn't know Julian, so they both felt a little lost as they stared at each other. The awkward staring contest ended after Julian offered a random greeting. Looking around some more, it seemed that Feng Xin and Mooching had both taken seats that were as far from each other as possible. 3 heavenly officials were seated directly across from Julian, and they carried on with what seemed to be very friendly conversation. On the left was a civil official dressed in black. He was easy and poised in his bearing, and proper and bright in his brow. Okay, so we have a lot of characters coming in. We have this one curly-haired person who is next to Julian being a bit awkward, and then we have this civil official who is across from them, and then there's 2 more people. Let's read on. His fingers gently tapped a regular rhythm on the table as he spoke. His demeanor was calm, at ease, and inexplicably familiar. In the middle was an official with whom Shirley-Ann was well acquainted, Pei Ming. Oh! Familiar civil official with Pei Ming. And the first thing I'm thinking is 3 tumors. And Shirley-Ann was promised to get to meet Shawudu. Shawudu is not the civil official, but guess who is? Ling Wen. Ling Wen. It's been mentioned that Ling Wen has a male form and they have to dress as their statues. And the reason why Ling Wen has a male form is because a lot of their worshippers worship her as a man, right? Oh my lord, is this it? This has to be it, come on. Because Pei Ming is here, and on the right was a young master robed in white who languidly fluttered the fan in his hand. The front side of the fan bore the word shui for water. Yes, come on, it's gotta be. And the back was painted with 3 wavy lines. His brows and eyes quite resemble Shi Qingquan's, but his expression was one of scornful arrogance. What a tyrant, eh? On the surface, he appeared to be a gentleman, but his eyes were quite clearly filled with disdain for everyone present. Who else could it be but the water tyrant, as I said? Understanding dawned on Shirley-Ann. They were the 3 tumors. That black-clad civil official had to be Ling Wen in her most powerful masculine form, and in it she certainly looked impressively dignified. Those 3 doled out a colourful variety of praise, complimenting one another to the ends of the earth and heavens, to the point where Shi Qingquan grumbled continuous complaints under her breath. Fake, so fake. Oh my gosh, so they're like, yeah, they are besties, propping each other up, supporting each other. Oh my lord. I love that for Ling Wen. I hate that for everyone else, apparently. Shirley-Ann found it rather amusing, however. Just then, he noticed a small, beautiful pavilion with red stage curtains covering all 4 of its sides at the front of the banquet tables. What's that? Shi Qingquan smiled. Oh, you don't know? It's a really popular game in the upper court. Come, just watch, it's starting now. As soon as she spoke, the rumble of thunder rolled from beyond the skies. John Woo glanced up, then poured a cup of wine and passed it down. As the thunder growled overhead, the seated heavenly officials laughed and hollered, passing around the cup of wine. Don't give it to me, don't give it to me, pass it to him. Shirley-Ann figured out the general rules by watching the others play. So, it's drummed flower passing. Okay, what kind of game is this? Drinking game? Drinking game? Oh my lord, are we getting drunk Shirley-Ann? I've been promised drunk Shirley-Ann. As in, it's been hinted that that might happen in the future sometimes. We'll see. Trying their best not to spill a single drop, the crowd traded the cup of wine that John Woo had sent off. The wine could be given to anyone, but could not be passed back to the same person. When the thunder stopped, whoever held the wine cup would be teased for fun. Except Shirley-Ann didn't know what kind of fun awaited the holder of the cup. To Shirley-Ann, this game wasn't a friendly one. I bet you not. Passing the wine cup to someone could result in them becoming the recipient of ridicule, so most would choose to give it to people with whom they were friendly. But he wasn't close with most of the heavenly officials present, so how could he dare tease others so nonchalantly? At best, he could hand it to the windmaster, but what if the windmaster happened to be the one who handed the wine to him? Best if no one passes it to me, Shirley-Ann thought. But I might be thinking too highly of myself. The first round was over before he even finished the thought. As everyone had hoped, the wine stopped in Pei Ming's hands. It seemed Pei Ming was used to this, and he downed the cup in one gulp amidst roaring cheers. It's a drinking game, oh my lord. The officials clapped and hollered, "Raise it! Raise it!" In the thick of those cheers, that resplendent pavilion slowly raised its 4 curtains. Up on the platform stood a tall general, his head held high, his stride wide, cutting an exceedingly impressive figure. He didn't seem to notice the heavenly officials below, nor the strange, beautiful scenery beyond the pavilion. He took a few steps and started singing verses, sonorous and fervent. As it turned out, whoever ended up with the wine cup would be treated to a performance. The pavilion brought forth a random play that had been written about that particular heavenly official in the mortal realm and showed it for all to see. That's kind of a fun little... okay, to Shirley, this is not fun though. Any plays written about Shirley would be tragic ones, deeply tragic ones. Unless they did, like, you know, the procession with him catching that child. But I guess all that would have been drowned out by all that happened after. So yeah, this is not a fun game for Shirley, of course. Given humanity's deep and abiding love for fabricating wild stories, yeah, AO3 can testify. Who knew what kind of outrageous play would be shown? Furthermore, one couldn't know when they'd be picked, so the game was just as thrilling as it was embarrassing. However, this was also where the fun lay. It had to be said that every one of General Pay's plays were exhilarating simply because the female lead was different every time. Sometimes it was a celestial fairy, sometimes a jarl, sometimes an unmarried noble lady. Every female lead was more beautiful than the last, and every story more shameless. The heavenly officials watched with relish, eagerly waiting for the female lead to enter the scene. Sure enough, it didn't take long before a lady dressed in black stepped onto the stage, singing like a golden aureole. The two actors sang to each other, their lyrics brazenly flirtatious. The more the crowd watched, the more something didn't feel right. And they started murmuring amongst themselves. What's the name of this play? Who's the woman the general is seducing this time? Just then, General Pay, on the stage, called out, Noble Jie! Below the stage, both Pei Ming and Ling Wen spat their mouthfuls of wine. Who else could Noble Jie be? Ling Wen was Ling Wen's heavenly title. Her proper name was Nanggong Jie. Oh my god. Holy fucking shit. I was right. The official who Sholian met in Arc 3, the deputy person, like the junior official who was the Nanggong Jie, it was Ling Wen. It was Ling Wen. Ling Wen is old. Ling Wen is like Sholian or older, kind of. This is insane. Oh my lord. Ha. Hello, Nanggong Jie. Interesting. Oh my lord. And this is a play, shipping the two. I'm fucking... Oh my gosh. Is this a ship? Is this like a real ship or is this just played for jokes? Just asking, is this a real ship? I can't believe this. This is so cool. The heavenly officials were shocked. Had those two really been tangled up in an affair at some point? Ling Wen wiped the corner of his lips with a napkin, then said dispassionately, No need to think on it, it's fabrication. While the two in question were both a bit put out, they were fortunately thick-skinned enough. The play's leads continued to yowl to each other on stage, and the two below pretended not to see. Oh my lord, this is so funny. Sherwoodoo wouldn't let them off the hook so easily, however. He smiled as he fluttered his fan. What an exciting play! Any thoughts, you two? Not really, Ling Wen replied. This play is old. My divine statues back then weren't like the ones I have now. It's only folklore. Think about it. In folklore, what woman hasn't old Pei tried to seduce? Everyone agreed wholeheartedly. Pei Ming spoke up in his own defense. Hey, you can't say that. In folklore, it's true that I've seduced pretty much everyone, but in this particular case, I really haven't. Don't wrong the innocent. Well, folklore says I've seduced even more male officials, all told. You don't see me all fidgety, do you? Ling Wen quipped. Seriously? Seriously? Ling Wen the seducer? Ling Wen had originally been brought to the heavens via appointment, and folklore claimed she'd accomplished this by seducing another heavenly official. Oh no, it's a misogynistic tale, oh my lord. This was also why, at the beginning, the palace of Ling Wen had been cold and quiet, with a very few worshippers. During any period of particular intense objection to her, she was cussed and cursed to the ends of the earth, and some would even throw menstrual linens and bralettes into her donation boxes. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Deep sigh. If any male officials were similarly whispered about, they'd simply be called charming, and could take full pleasure in it. Although the situations were similar, the treatment of male and female officials clearly differed. And the consequences were quite different indeed. As Shirley reflected on this, the next round began. Sherwood had laughed earlier, but this new round ended on him. In unison, the two tumors next to him cupped their hands in a congratulatory gesture. I do like their banter. Instant karma, take it graciously. I love it. Sherwood furrowed his brow for a brief instant, then drank the wine. Those curtains raised once more. Before the curtains had even reached the top, 2 long trills came from within. Oh no. I'm cringing just reading these 2 lines. Wifey! Happy! Flourishing with affection, the tender voices were filled with sweet, intertwined yearning. Shirley witnessed with his own eyes how goosebumps sprouted over half of Sherwood and Shirchingchuan's bodies. Shirchingchuan jumped to her feet. Go! Hurry and cut it off! Sherwood immediately barked. Drop the curtains! Drop them right now! Even without seeing anything, one could easily guess that this play was derived from the folklore that depicted Lord Watermaster and Lady Windmaster as husband and wife. Yeah, awkward. When people told stories, tales of love and hatred were always fan favorites. If either feeling was already present, good. If not, even better, because then one could make it all up. The myths that cleaved to orthodox worship of the gods generally consisted of whatever they had actually personally accomplished, but sometimes when they saw what the mortals came up with for them, the gods had to hand it to people. Those were the real myths. The moment Sherwood gave the word, the curtain dropped with a conclusive swish. The heavenly officials in the audience all wanted to laugh but didn't dare to, and they suffered as they held in their mirth. On the other hand, Shirley simply smiled and said, Lord Windmaster, I didn't know you could call for the curtain to drop. Shirchingchuan was still shaking from the trauma as she replied, Yeah, it's no big deal. Just donate 100,000 merits. Oh no. Shirley's gonna get the cup. He's gonna have to drink. There's gonna be a play. Oh no. And he's not gonna be able to pay to close the curtain. We're gonna have to watch it. Oh no. Ellipse reply. Exactly, Shirley. I get it. Shirley sat speechless, and the third round began. This time the thunder didn't rumble for very long, and the wine cup ended up with the young man sitting next to Shirley. Seeing this, the reaction from the crowd of heavenly officials was odd. It wasn't enthusiastic, but it wasn't indifferent. It was like they were very interested in seeing the play, but didn't want to be obvious about it. The young man didn't seem too interested in the game, but he still drank the wine. He put down the cup, and the curtains raised once more. Okay, I'm wondering if we're gonna get to know who this person is now. 2 stood upon that stage. One was a young general with curly hair like a stone lion's mane, and although exceedingly exaggerated, he still looked heroically sprightly. So he was portraying this young heavenly official. The other one had pointy lips and sallow cheeks, and he was the very image of a wretched clown, as he jumped all over the stage. When the young man faced the other, the latter would act serious, if still clearly slimy and loathsome. When that young man turned around, the other would pull awful faces and backstab him with a sword. No doubt, this was the role of a despicable two-faced villain. Okay. That clown performed with embellished vigor like it was a silly comedic play. However, the reaction from the heavenly officials in the audience differed vastly. I am so curious what this is about. Surely I noticed that the officials in the lower ranks laughed uproariously, while higher-ranking officials like Churchingchuan and Sherwudu frowned wordlessly, not thinking it at the least bit amusing. What is going on? Why are the higher-ranking officials being so serious about it? At the same time, he also noticed veins popping on the fists of the young man beside him, so he is mad about this. And Shirley became alarmed. Although he didn't understand the specifics of what was going on stage, he easily grasped that it was mocking someone. Even if he didn't know who was who, the lead's performances were uncomfortable enough on their own. Okay, mockery of this person who's the villain in the story, I'm guessing. Seeing that the young man was on the verge of throwing a fit, Shirley took a chopstick from the table and flung it at the rope controlling the curtains. The not-so-sharp chopstick brushed the rope and, surprisingly, slashed it. The curtains dropped noisily, and the officials cried out in shock. How can this be? What's going on? Oh my god, Shirley, I love you. They all looked to Shirley, some even rising to their feet as they did. Shirley was about to open his mouth when something exploded next to his ear. It seemed that the young man had shattered a white jade wine cup in his fist. That play had apparently provoked him, and he tossed away the shards of the jade cup in furious outrage. He sprang onto the table, pushed off with his feet, and barged into that pavilion through the curtains. A number of heavenly officials rushed over to lift the red curtains, but inside it was already empty. The crowd was in uproar. Oh no, His Highness Qi Ying went down to beat people up again. Qi Ying. As in Xuan Yizhen, the martial god of the West, which it says right here on my corkboard. Oh my lord. Qi Ying, the palace of Qi Ying, the martial god of the West, Xuan Yizhen. Oh my god, Shirley, I was just saying that. Shirley hurriedly asked Churchingchuan. Lord Windmaster, what's going on? What's with His Highness Qi Ying going down to beat people up again? Churchingchuan snapped out of it and replied, beating people up is just beating people up. You might not believe it, but Qi Ying frequently beats up his own worshippers. Little ellipsia reply there. I'm guessing he's beating them up because of stuff like this. They're mocking this person who seems to have gotten like this villain role in the play of his life, but it's someone he cares for. Okay. Well, this was the first time Shirley had ever heard of a heavenly official who dared assault their own followers, since that was usually something that would destroy their image in a believer's mind. He wanted to inquire further, but he heard a lower-ranked heavenly official a short distance away speak up in displeasure. That Xuan really is too immature. Everyone was just having fun. Doesn't he know how to play along a little? Who hasn't been picked on? Were General Pei and Lingwen Shenjun not teased? Besides, he wasn't even the one being mocked, so why is he so angry? Well, because he cares for this person, come on. Yeah, he really thinks too highly of himself. Even if he's mad, there's no need to have a fit right this second. This banquet is meant to be fun. No one's here to watch him throw tantrums, really. Alright, a brat is a brat. He's not here anymore. It'll be more fun without him anyway. Oh my lord, these people, these fucking heavenly officials. Though it seems like this were the lower ranked heavenly officials, okay? Does that mean junior officials, or does it mean just lower ranked heavenly officials? People are not as important, even though they are gods. Shirley listened to them talk and mulled over their words. The feast was only temporarily disrupted, and Ling Wen seemed to have already sent someone to take care of Xuan Yizhen's present engagement. After some officials came out and pacified the crowd, the banquet and games resumed. Thus, the thunder rumbled and the fourth round of drummed flower passing began. Shirley just watched the others play the game at first. He couldn't blend in and was just happy that no one bothered him. Unexpectedly, just as he was about to chat with Churchingchuan, a hand suddenly extended and passed him that white jade wine cup. And that is the end of chapter 41. Oh my lord, there were a lot of things happening in this chapter. We have so many character introductions and so many character re-entries. We are having a blast. Getting to see a little bit of that mortals writing fanfiction, getting to see some awkward moments, and getting to meet for the first time Shawuru, the Watermaster, and also Xuan Yizhen, the martial god of the West. How fucking exciting. I can't believe that I'm putting the book down and coming back in 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, I don't even have time to wallow in this sadness because I need to pack up. I need to go. Yeah, I need to leave in 10 minutes. I need to close down this flat, shut off the lights, shut off the heating. Well, not all the heating because it's minus 15 degrees Celsius outside right now. It's fucking crazy. It's so cold. But I have to turn stuff down. I need to take out the trash and make sure that I can leave this apartment in peace and not feel, come back to a mess. And then work, and then I'm off. But oh my lord. Okay, so Sholian is getting the cup. The cup is handed to Sholian. There's gonna be a play. There's gonna be a play. It's probably gonna reveal some things to us. It's probably gonna be pretty shit for us, but oh my lord, this is so exciting. Very, very exciting. Not too surprised with the fact that we took Chirong with us, but very happy with how entertaining this little Puchi Shrine incident thing was. That was great fun. It's so serious but so silly at the same time. Just the fact that we're picking on Pei Ming for he's arriving in his full glory with casual clothes though, no armor, and he's standing on top of this little house in this little village, But then there's these little callbacks to everything, and then there's just all the little character moments. We even had Pei Shaw show up. I was so excited about that. My arch nemesis. And I loved Sholian just throwing Hua Chang's name around to threaten Chirong. That was so funny. You should try that up in heaven, Sholian. Try it up in heaven. And the banquet thing is going well so far. There's going to be a battle of the lanterns, and I am predicting that Sholian is going to have lanterns. It's going to shock him, and that's how it's revealed that he does indeed have followers around. But as he has these shackles, as the chapter explains, he can't feel, the spiritual energy or anything. And I think that's kind of important here. He obviously has followers in Puchi village as well, so that should have given him a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But he still can't feel anything, so the shackle must be blocking him from even getting energy from his current devotees. Why are we not taking it off? Come on. Can we take it off, please? Or maybe it's just a permanent thing. I'm guessing, I mean, it's gonna be taken off. I kind of know that already. But why we're not doing it still is kind of baffling to me, actually. So I'm excited about the fact that we are playing around with more heavenly officials now. We're getting to know more of what is going on up in heaven. What is the setting? What are the little, not fights, but disagreements or things that have happened between people. We know now that there's a connection between Rainmaster and Pei Ming, for instance, which is totally random. So this was a lot of fun. This was a great chapter. And I'm so sad that I have to leave Arc 3 like this, with just the beginning. But again, I really have to go. I took the time to record this, and I'm so happy I did, but I really do have to go. So I'm so sorry for the short discussion. I'll make up for it in the next video once I'm back home in December. And I'm so excited to let you guys know that I've started Arc 3. So this has been Amelia, aka Space Out Puffin, and I will see you in the next one.